Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how I have set up my PhD research bullet journal for February 2020. So if you've seen some of my other videos, you'll know that I'm currently using this A4 dotted bullet journal as my PhD research diary. And I also have an A5 that I use for my personal bullet journal, which I keep at home. And then I have an A6 mini bullet journal that I use for sort of on the go or brain dump bullet journaling. So if you want to see how I set each of those up for 2020, I will have those videos linked down below. So this is my calendar spread page for February 2020. I like to keep this bullet journal pretty simple because it's more for work than, looking pretty and perfect. But I did this sort of block capital February in pink just to be a little bit of a February theme. And then I just did this hanging sort of 2020 as well. And then over here I did this quote, "Amateurs sit and wait for inspiration. The rest of us get up and go to work." And that's from Stephen King. And then these squares are 8 by 8. So it just means that I have a lot of space to plan out anything that I need to. If I have any work tasks for future days, then I can put them in here and I have plenty of space. So I'm currently working on a PhD, but this sort of setup would work for anyone who's a student or working in any sort of research position or anything like that. So hopefully, even if you're not doing a PhD, you still find some of these spreads useful. So here is my papers to read. Last month I did papers I've read and papers to read, but I didn't really fill out both of those spreads, so I just decided to put it all together. So I have the title of the paper, the author, year, which project it relates to, where I found it, and the reason for reading it, or like what is interesting or novel about what's done in the paper, and then a little section here to mark whether I've read it or not. So my main task for February is working on a paper for a conference so that I had marked on my calendar. It's due February 17th, so that's coming up pretty soon. So this is my sort of project plan / project progress page. Because my PhD is in computer science, it means that it's a lot of, programming, modeling, analysis, and some writing as well. So I have over this side all this stuff to do with the data, so data set, features, pre-processing, and then I have a section for modeling and a section for evaluation, so I can sort of keep track of how the project is developing over time. And then on this side I have all of my writing, so I have the abstract, introduction, the problem statement, the methods, the evaluation, the discussion, and the conclusion. And then over here I have the option to put in the number of words for each section as well. And then finally, for this pretty simple setup, I have my weekly spread for the first week of February. So this is something I've been playing around with for a couple different spreads. So the first time I set up my bullet journal, I had this very basic spread that I didn't find very helpful. And then I did an updated video, which was for just a weekly spread that includes more productivity tracking and more sort of motivational things. And then this spread just also incorporates the use of a daily calendar. So on the day that I'm going to be using this, I can time block my entire day using this sort of 9 to 5 schedule. And then that means that I will be more productive because I have everything time blocked. And it means I can work out when I'm going to be working on deep or shallow tasks. So I recently read the book Deep Work by Cal Newport, and I'm going to be doing a separate video about how I incorporate that into my work schedule. But it means I'll be able to block out time for deep work in here. And then I also have some habits that I'd like to keep track of during the work day, such as staying hydrated, drinking some herbal teas, getting some steps in, doing a daily puzzle, doing some deep work, and writing. And then over here I have my tasks for the week. So this is sort of like a rolling task list, as in like very traditional bullet journal, and the days that I can assign to each task. So I can mark a little X beside one of the days here when I do the task on a given day. So that's how it will be marked here. And then over here I have my Pomodoro garden. So the Pomodoro method is to do 25 minutes of hard, uninterrupted work, no distractions, no phones, etc. And then you get a 5-minute break, and then you repeat a couple of times, and then you can take a longer break. So I do a 3 or 4 step doodle in this section, 1 step for each Pomodoro, and each sort of doodle represents like a Pomodoro block. So I showed an example of that in my last weekly setup video for the PhD research bullet journal. So if you want to see how that works, I will have that video linked for you. And then I also have my weekly summary so that I can keep track of everything that I did in a week. And I think this is quite helpful to be able to look back at, because I've heard that a lot of people tend to get sort of lost in a PhD as to what they did when and what's been done and what hasn't been done. And then for motivation as well, I have this little sort of mason jar with some coins inside to be able to keep track of my wins for the week. So life's all about the little wins, and it's important when you're doing a long-term project such as a PhD to savor the little wins and keep yourself motivated. So I think that this is really helpful. It has been so far, because I've been doing this for a couple of weeks and I've found that it's very motivating and very helpful. And it's just a nice way to be able to sort of congratulate yourself on a daily basis for the things you've achieved. Even if you feel like you maybe haven't achieved much in a given week, you'll be able to look back at this and see all your little wins and feel like you've done a great job. So that is it for this quick and easy setup. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give me a thumbs up, because it really helps me out. And let me know in the comments below if you have any other spread ideas that you think would be helpful for this kind of PhD research bullet journal. As I mentioned, I will be having more videos for like productivity and ways you can bullet journal and keep track of your productivity, such as an upcoming video about how I incorporate deep work into my daily activities as a PhD student. But you could also do this as any student or a researcher or anything like that. So if you want to see that video, I highly suggest that you would subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when that video is uploaded. And without further ado, guys, I will see you in the next video.